Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the visionary mind of Arthur C. Clarke, a man who didn't just write about the future, he pretty much helped build it.
So, what on earth connects a mysterious alien monolith to the phone that's probably in your pocket right now? It sounds like a trick question, right? But the answer is just one man, whose incredible imagination didn't just create fictional worlds, it fundamentally shaped our real one.
Okay, so most of us know Arthur C. Clarke as this absolute titan of science fiction. He's the author whose grand, mind-bending visions gave us masterpieces like 2001: A Space Odyssey and the hauntingly brilliant Childhood's End. You know, he was a core part of what they called the big three of the genre, right alongside Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein. And while Asimov gave us the laws of robotics and Heinlein got deep into complex social structures, Clarke was the philosopher. He was the one looking up at the stars, asking the biggest questions about our place in the universe. And get this, his most famous work, the iconic film 2001, actually started out as a little short story called The Sentinel. He sent it into a BBC writing competition, and they rejected it. It's just a powerful reminder that even world-changing ideas can have some pretty humble and sometimes overlooked beginnings. But here's the thing that really set Clarke apart from his peers. It was his uncanny ability to bridge that gap between imagination and reality, to take science fiction and turn it into science fact. Let's time travel for a second. We're going all the way back to 1945. This is 12 years before the world even heard that first little beep beep from Sputnik 1. Clarke was working as a radar specialist in the Royal Air Force, and in his spare time, he published a paper. In it, he theorized that if you put a satellite in this one very specific orbit, it could bounce communication signals across the entire globe.
He published this idea in a pretty niche technical journal, laying out the precise mathematical blueprint for the very technology that connects our entire world today, decades before it was even remotely possible.
And just so we're clear, this isn't some informal honor or a cute nickname. The International Astronomical Union, the official group that names stars and planets and all that, they have formally designated this critical orbital path the Clarke orbit. His legacy is, quite literally, written in the stars.
So his mind is always up in the cosmos, right? But what's really fascinating is that his heart, it was often somewhere completely different.
We have this picture of him as the classic space visionary, always looking up at the stars, dreaming of other worlds.
But then, in 1956, he makes the surprising move to Sri Lanka and becomes an avid scuba diver. He started this lifelong passion for exploring a totally different frontier, the vast, mysterious world right under the waves.
And listen, Clarke wasn't just a casual tourist. He was a legit explorer. He discovered the sunken ruins of an ancient temple, found a 17th century shipwreck, and even recovered lost treasure. We're talking bags of silver rupees from a Mughal emperor. The guy was as much an Indiana Jones of the deep as he was a prophet of the stars.
So we've got space, we've got the deep sea, but Clarke's incredible foresight didn't stop there. He also predicted with almost spooky clarity the very world that you and I are living in right now.
All right, let's paint a picture. The year is 1962. The fastest way you can talk to someone is on a rotary phone that's literally bolted to a wall. Computers are these giant behemoths that fill entire rooms. In that world, the idea of a little device in your pocket connecting you to a global network, that's not just science fiction, it's basically fantasy.
And yet, in that world of 1962, Clarke published his predictions. He described a global library accessible from home, what we call the Internet. He envisioned personal transceivers so small that every man may carry one. Hello, smartphones. He saw instant banking and global positioning systems coming. He was describing our modern life with near-perfect accuracy more than half a century before it actually arrived.
So, you see, you really can't put Arthur C. Clarke in just one box. He was a writer, a scientist, an inventor, an explorer, and, you could say, a prophet of the modern age. He was also a man of remarkable wit and this quiet complexity. When journalists would try to pry into his personal life, he'd respond with this really dry humor, like you see here. That resilience was a huge part of his character, especially as he faced major challenges like post-polio syndrome, which confined him to a wheelchair but could never, ever confine his boundless imagination.
When you really look at his life, it stands on these four powerful pillars. He had the imagination of a sci-fi legend, the brilliant innovation of a satellite visionary, the adventurous spirit of an underwater explorer, and the absolutely stunning foresight of a digital prophet.
And in a final, just unbelievably fitting cosmic coincidence, just hours before he passed away at the age of 90, a massive gamma ray burst from clear across the universe reached Earth. For a brief moment, it was the most distant object ever seen by the naked eye. It was almost like the universe itself was offering a final silent salute.
It's a question Arthur C. Clarke himself would have absolutely loved, and it leaves us all to wonder, and maybe to build, the next chapter of the future he so brilliantly inspired.